Hi, could you put the sound on? Whoa, thank you. I can hear you. I can see you as well. I do have one question, but I'll video my I will put the video on when I ask the question. It's just embarrassing to go to a meeting faced with my face. Thank you. Sorry, I can't hear.
Spoken yet, Councillor McGovern.
Oh,
so it's fine.
that will be why.
Right, good evening, everyone. Thank you to everyone for attending this meeting of the Overview of Scrutiny Performance Panel on Thursday, the 16th of January 2025. My name is Councillor Roy Lees, and I am the Vice Chair in the chair for this meeting. When speaking, please do not obstruct your mouth to enable lip reading or the use of closed captions. We are not expecting a fire drill, so if the alarms sound, please exit the way you came in. Please ensure that all mobile phones are switched to silent. Please could we have brief introductions around the room and then those, if anyone, on Teams. What's Councillor Howarth saying? Yes,
Sorry, did you want me to? I don't know.
Hi, it's Jennifer Mullin. I'm Director of Communities and Leisure. Councillor Bev Murray, Executive Member for Early Intervention.
Right, Pauline. Anybody on
Teams? Hi. I can't see me, which is fantastic. Hello, everybody. Pauline McGovern. I've got a little guide dog puppy here, which is why I'm not at the meeting. So, hello.
And finally, Michelle?
Yeah. Hi everyone, Michelle Brown. I'm at home because I'm on week 3 of the lovely flu germs that have been going around. So anyway, I'm here. Kind of.
Thank you. We have apologies from Councillor Deborah Platt, the Chair. So we'd like to proceed. Item 3 on the agenda. Sorry, where are we a minute? The minutes of the meeting held on the 5th of December, which have been circulated. Are there any questions regarding those minutes? Can I have an acceptance of those minutes, please? And seconder? I wasn't here then, so. Is there anybody else on the teams who were there?
I was there, if I can second that, being online.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, okay.
Right, any, item 3, the performance focus paper, Communities and Leisure. Councillor Bev Murray and the Executive Member for Communities and Leisure will present this report, supported by Terry Howarth, Executive Member for Homes and Housing. Jennifer Mulling, Director of Communities and Leisure, is in attendance to assist. I now invite Councillor Murray to present this report.
Thank you, Chair. So this report focuses on the Directorate, but actually the Directorate has 2 portfolios, as you've just indicated. So obviously throughout the report there are a few issues relating to early intervention. I'm sure members have read all of the report, but what I was going to do, if that's okay, Chair, is provide an update and more information on the leisure contract. So as some members will be aware, the leisure contract ended just before COVID started, and at that point we were due to go out to tender as the Active Nation contract had come to an end. We did go out to find another contractor, but as COVID progressed, the contractor that agreed to do it pulled out because they wanted to focus on their own centres and the contracts they already had. Chorley Council then obviously set up an arm's length company to operate the centres, and since then we have faced a number of challenges. Initially we had to unpick a number of arrangements and hire agreements, which did take some time. So the report gives sort of an update of what's happening now, but if I continue to expand a bit, if that's okay. So if we turn to Brinschool first, as the report says, it has had extensive refurbishment work undertaken on it, and it's now open for school swimming lessons, council swimming lessons and some aqua sessions. There has been some criticism on social media about public swim times. So what we decided to do was we wanted to stabilise the openings with the lessons first of all, and now we're looking to recruit for public hours, which hopefully will mean we'll be open 2 early mornings and every weekday lunchtimes for swims, and depending how popular these are, we can then look to perhaps build on it. With regard to Clayton, we're currently speaking with groups about increasing hire because it's a very large building, and although we do have some hire, we can always improve on that. So we're talking to one group in particular who is interested in moving into the centre, so hopefully they should increase the time with us. Overall, I'd say we're currently at the moment focusing on all seasons, because in reality that's where any revenue is going to come from. So as the report says, there has been some work done at all seasons with 2 studios, and members will remember that exec cabinet we went to consultation on the pool side, which we had very mixed responses to from what we put out. So we're re-looking at that again, because obviously there's no point putting stuff in that people don't want. In the meantime, the gym refurbishment is hopefully going to start at the end of May, beginning of June, and the work on the changing rooms will take place. We've also started to look to increase daytime classes with baby swimming and baby exercise type things, as well as older people's activities. So the overall aim for the council is to have good quality, affordable and accessible leisure facilities, but it is taking some time, and I think it will take a little bit longer yet. Thank you, Chair.
There's 2 questions on my behalf, please. On page 11, agenda page 11, point number 24, mentions an £8,000 net overspend on temporary accommodation compared to budget following an inspection of the block of flats. If you could please let me know, firstly, has that all been finished and dealt with? And secondly, where was the temporary accommodation, where do people?
Overspends aren't totally unusual when it comes to temporary accommodation because by its very nature, you don't know what the demand is going to be, given that it arises out of forces outside our control, for example, landlords giving notice to tenants. Substantially, we have temporary accommodation for homeless people in Cotswold House. If there is an overspill or people aren't suitable for that environment, then bed and breakfast is used. So, in that sense, the bed and breakfast accommodation would account for that, if not all of it. But temporary accommodation is temporary. It's something that we need to provide. We have a duty to provide to homeless people in particular, and that is where it comes from. It's not totally unusual. Regrettable, but we have a duty to actually look after the people involved.
Just to add to that, Terry, so have the people now moved back into their permanent accommodation?
I'll let Jennifer take that.
So this particular case was a block of flats that hadn't been maintained by the landlord, including the internal flats and the landings and the roofs and windows. So what we did was we had to serve notices on the tenants to say, well, the property wasn't fit for you to live in. Some people chose to move out, and we supported them through homeless provision and Cotswold House. Some chose to stay in the flats. So at the moment, the owner of the flats has done huge amounts of work to make the flats up to standard. The owner of the freehold, which is to do with the communal areas of the windows and doors communal areas, hasn't done any work. So the council has taken the decision to do the work and to charge the owner of the leasehold for the work. So the work's ongoing at the moment. So once the work's done, people can either choose to move back to the flats, or they can put bids in on the select move system to move elsewhere.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Just following on, just second question, if that's okay. I think this is more for you, Bev. So on agenda page 13, paragraph 38, you talk about that the Chorley Leisure now has 4,086 members. So it's a net gain of 239 compared to last year, which is great. It's fantastic. But like you mentioned in your report, you talk about Winscoe, where it's just been renovated, etc. Is there anything that you feel that could be done extra in terms of advertising it, pushing it, so we can get the maximum benefit out of it?
Was a couple of things. So with the membership, we're hoping that when the gym refurbishment is done, it will attract more people to come down. We did do a survey on the gym facilities at Clayton Green, and they were more or less at capacity, weren't they? There was about was it 90 extra members?
Yeah.
But the issue with Clayton Green is that the gym at Clayton Green is really in competition with the gym at All Seasons, because some of the areas overlap. So although we're trying to push the gym at Clayton, in reality, I think if we get more members, it will be down at All Seasons when we've done the refurbishment. With regard to Brinskull, I think there's a number of things that we could possibly look to do. There's been house building in Clayton and Whittle. We have to think, do they know that there's a swimming pool up the road? Some might not, especially if they've moved in from the area. The other thing is that it is actually a cultural asset, because it's a Victorian baths and there isn't that many around. And maybe we should sort of look to promote it as like a unique swimming venue, and maybe even, to TV and film like we do with Astley Hall. If they need any filming for dramas or whatever, I think that we could perhaps look to market it that way as well. Thank you.
surely your webpage to push the leisure facilities quite a lot. So, but that, to get to see that, you have to that page to look at it. I sometimes wonder how often people come to that sort of page to do it. I just wonder whether we could direct that information to people. I don't know, say like councillors, for example, and then councillors could then use that information then to pass on to local groups that in their area. For example, I quite often go on and see stuff on the all season stuff that, you know, a council page, and then I repost it to the likes of Buckshaw Beat and advertise that way. So, and also again, I wonder whether also we could also let parish councils know as well, so that they can put that in their reports, and that could go out to try and push the information out a bit further afield. And again, you mentioned about new properties and new areas with new building work. Again, if there's any correspondence coming up, I just wonder whether it's worth pointing out some of the facilities in the area that people can make use of. Because when I post this sort of stuff, people go, "Oh, I didn't know they did that." So I just think there's a bit more we could do round that way. Because if the facilities we've got are very good, it's just people knowing when and what's on, and also the cost as well. Certain costs are, you know, reduced for certain, you know, certain groups at certain times of the day. Again, it's making people aware of that. So again, I just wonder whether we could look a bit more widely, and again, like I say, just as an example, use councils as a route to information.
Any problem with that? We have communications going out to the parish councils anyway, so we could maybe send sort of include it in that. And the other thing is, I'm sure that in the wonderful world of social media, there's someone that can target things to maybe Clayton and Whittle when it comes to Brinscoll. So we could ask comms to do a bit of that as well.
Just another question about the pool down at All Seasons. In terms, I know you have advertised it again. Ideas that, you know, for people to, and it sounds like the ideas that have come back, or people weren't too happy about it. I just think in terms of going back out again, is there going to be a different way of soliciting different opinions? Because I just wonder whether you're going to get different information coming back out from doing the same again.
When we put the consultation out, it was all sorts of various options, and there was like a slide and a sort of a play thing that put water on your head and all sorts of different things. And the feedback that came back was very strongly that a slide was basically what people wanted and nothing else. And also an improvement in the changing areas. So at the minute we're speaking with various contractors to see what sort of slides, etc. would fit in, and whether they would need a separate splash pool at the side, or whether they could go into the pool that's already there. And once that's done, obviously we will do some consultation and advertise it.
In terms of the feedback I've had from residents, I think the slide would be a very good idea. And again, in terms of the change facilities there, I think that's one of the areas that does let itself down in terms of the change facilities are not the best. And again, I've had a number of complaints from residents, which I've forwarded back onto All Seasons. To be fair to them, they've always addressed them, but I think they are a little bit out of date. So again, focus on the change rooms, I think, would be a good area to focus on. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McGovern, you have a question?
Yes, I do. It's not a question. It was really just a suggestion in relation to terminology. I'm looking at page 10 of the agenda, item 3, and it's number 21, and it's simply your table. And all I was going to suggest was that if you look at the bottom of it, it takes the forecast budget from the amended budget or whatever, and it gets something it calls variance. I just wanted to point out that in terms of clarity, that's the wrong word to use. And the reason it's the wrong word is that in statistics, variance is to do with dispersion around the mean. So it's a measure of the range of your data in relation to the mean. So, okay, that's fine. And I realise that in everyday life, people use variance in a much looser way, but that's a table. So what I'm only suggesting that maybe you could, instead of having variance, just put difference, subtracted difference, or whatever you want to put. But I think it would just add clarity. Okay, that's my comment.
Thank
If
you.
anyone wants to come back to me.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor McGovern. I think we'll take that on board. Yeah. Any other questions? No? I've got one question regarding, where are we? Page 10. Paragraph 17. What is spin?
Is, I think, because I only swim at all seasons, I don't spin. It is a bike thing, isn't it? Yeah, with lights and all sorts. It's like a cycle bike thing. Yeah.
It's a fixed bike.
Yeah.
Item paragraph 33 regarding the number of handy persons. Is there a charge to the pensioners and that for this service? And if so, is it subsidised? Sorry, I'm not on. Regarding the number of handy person jobs completed.
Definition, it's providing labour.
Yeah, but is it labour free for the residents or is there a charge?
As far as I'm aware, because of the nature, the small amount, there isn't a charge. But other aspects of the disability facility grant are actually means tested.
But it mentions things like joinery. Materials and that, do they have to pay for them?
Jennifer, do you want to?
Yeah, so the handy person is provided, but if there was any particular materials, you know, if somebody wanted a shelf put up or something, they would have to provide that. Or, you know, if there was, I mean, if it was just screws and small bits of equipment, the handy person would have it on the van. But if they wanted them to put a shelf up or put a light bulb in or something like that, they would provide that. Yeah.
Have we got here? Item 42, the projects, community projects for the youth, about getting them into the leisure centres, playing football. How do we? What's the procedure for young people to get involved in that?
These were identified in conjunction with the police, so they were the young people that weren't particularly interested in going to the youth zone, and were just sort of hanging around the streets.
So it mainly comes from the police, does it? Police integration, or?
Police and other organisations, yeah. It's sort of a joint project.
Councillor Green.
Just sort of some sparks on one. One of the things I've been trying to do in Buxton and Whittle is trying to look at areas where we could get more youth involved in things. So there's lots of facilities for the kids, and then for the teenagers. In terms of the advertising that comes out, quite often I see the advertising on the stuff we do is very focused on sort of, you know, adults and younger kids and stuff like that. I just wonder whether there's anything more we could do to promote the likes of teens to early 20s, sort of trying to encourage them to come into the leisure facilities.
And targeting, we can always do more. But if that's something particularly interesting, you could put it forward as a neighbourhood priority at the next neighbourhood meetings. You know, some sort of targeted youth work or something like that. Or you know, a campaign to get young people into leisure. You could put that forward as a specific project at the meeting. Yeah.
In February, and just a general one. I noticed your green, which is like really good. So well done from that point of view. But just in terms of then, but is there anything you feel that poses a risk to that green going forward? What is it? Have you got any concerns going forward in terms of what you think you'd like to focus in, or you need to focus in to keep those green ratings going?
I think from a communities team, I think there is a couple of things really. Obviously, there's the leisure centres. There's a cost of living action plan, because a lot of that was reliant on holiday activity funding and the household support fund. So it's sort of a bit of uncertainty about what's going to happen moving forward. So I'd say they're probably the biggest concerns at the minute.
Obviously, the nature of your question is asking for some personal view on this. Homelessness is a big worry, as far as I'm concerned, in the sense that we don't have control about who actually makes people homeless. We've still got a situation whereby the government are looking to reverse, but no-fault evictions could actually increase. We've got good facilities to take in homeless people at Cotswold House, 27 units. We have seen an increase in families. We're looking in Joburn Street to increase the provision that we can take families in more comfort. It's a worry that we might have to revert if we do get additional problems to bed and breakfast. Totally unsuitable, in my view, for families. For example, how do you feed a child in bed and breakfast? That's a big issue. So, I suppose it comes down to money in the end, but it comes down to long-term provision, and I just hope we don't have a major spike in no-fault evictions.
Sorry, could I just add one more thing, which, sorry. The other thing that is probably not a major concern, but it is a bit of a worry, that a lot of the communities work we do with voluntary groups. And I think sort of volunteering is changing a little bit, because it's always been people retire early and then decide to help in the community and give back. And obviously people are working longer now. They're also got responsibilities around childcare, because childcare is so expensive. So grandparents are often looking after younger children. And the other thing is that people are living longer and need carers, and that often is family members that have given up work. So I think, while it's not a problem at the minute, I think it could become an issue that the traditional volunteer, if you will, starts to decrease. And I think we need to, we do things to engage with other volunteers, but I think that is something that we, in the future, we might see changing.
Thank you. In regard to the point about the homelessness and bed and breakfast, a lot of the people who end up homeless are possibly in financial difficulty. Is that right? Would you say that? And in which case, if we're offering them bed and breakfast, how do they go on to pay for like evening meals and other meals when there's no room for making them themselves?
Benefits of various descriptions would be appropriate. The nature of bed and breakfast is they may not be within the local area. So obviously people do have additional expenses, possibly being made redundant. So you've got quite a number of different reasons. But generally speaking, it will be out of income where upon that is derived is open to the number of cases that you have. Some will be benefits, others will remain in jobs, etc. But with no fault evictions, you can have somebody who's up to date with the mortgage, well, in most cases, rent, and effectively get evicted. they have the income, in most cases, they should be able to get other rented accommodation if they do have an income, but not always in the short term suitable for them. So it's a situation that varies from individuals to families, to different families.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions? No? Right, the decision is to note this report and thank the executive members for their attendance. Any urgent businesses? Agreed with the chair. I've not received any, so I now declare the meeting closed.